And it goes without saying, this year is probably a pretty big year in the mobile space for Google. So it felt particularly appropriate to have Ian with us here today. And I know some people in the room have heard him speak before, but I'm delighted to welcome Ian Carrington from Google. Thank you.
My name is Ian Carrington. I'm the Director of Mobile Product Sales and Strategy at Google across two exciting areas, which is mobile and social. My presentation is about those three areas and the big trends that we're seeing happening today at Google. I think we all know that mobile is really, really big. We became a mobile-first company back in 2010, where we started developing our products, tools, and systems for mobile first. We actually became a social company around 12 months ago with the launch of Google+, which celebrated its birthday just a few days ago, and we're really, really happy with the progress that's been going on with that so far, and I'll share some stats with that later. And then those two things, social and particularly mobile, is really fueling the third growth area, which is local. And we're seeing some people do some good stuff in local today, but I think there's a whole big opportunity in local, and businesses are yet to catch up on that. But mobile, I'm sure you've heard about mobile today already, but mobile is really, really big. The person who knows the most about the mobile in the world for me is a lady called, I've totally forgotten her name. She's known as the, Mary Meeker, thank you. She's known as the pod mother of mobile. She's an ex-Wall Street analyst. She set up her own company, and what she doesn't know about mobile isn't worth knowing. And she made some predictions back in 2010 that smartphone sales will surpass PC sales in 2013. And she's the best in the business, and she made that prediction in 2010. And it actually happened less than a year after she made that prediction. It happened in early 2011, where smartphone sales outsold PC sales. And what's also remarkable to me is that when you look at the predictions she's making today, and I think they're going to be a lot more accurate, is that tablet sales will surpass PC sales in just 3 years' time. Now, the tablet's only been really around for 2 years and a couple of months, but already 13% of the people in the UK have a tablet. And tablets are something that's really fueling a lot of the mobile growth that we're seeing with a lot of our advertisers today as well. So mobile's happening, it's getting bigger and bigger. There's around 7 billion people in the world today, and between 5 and 6 billion of those people own a mobile phone. There's more people who have a mobile phone than there is who have a toothbrush, which is quite remarkable when you think about it. And then some people get a bit upset about that and think, well, why are they not having the kind of basics around the toothbrush? Why are they going for a mobile phone? But for me, I've done some work with a company called Grammy Phone and Grammy Bank, which are essentially a non-profit organization. And what they've taught me is that when people get a mobile phone in a remote village in places like Bangladesh, that it actually becomes a wealth generator. That people who get that mobile phone, it's charged at 10 cents per minute. They can actually charge it 12 cents per minute to other people in the village. And when people are making those kind of calls, it allows them to understand, like, is the doctor going to be in? It's a 2-day walk from that village, from a particular village to where the doctor is. And if you walk there and the doctor's out, you've wasted 2 days. But by paying 12 cents, making a phone call, checking the doctor's going to be there in 2 days, you can save yourself a lot of time and effort, and that's worth much more than 12 cents. So mobile's a real wealth generator, and it's great that people have access to information whenever and wherever they are at any time. We see in the UK that 51% of people have a smartphone, so they can really get detailed information. They can have a full web experience in the palm of their hand. And we see globally that 28% of all time today spent on the web is via a mobile device. Now in the UK it's a little bit lower. In places like India and Indonesia it's a little bit higher, where you don't have the kind of broadband penetration that we have in the UK today, because they don't really have the same penetration in middle classes. All this is telling me there's a big pace of change happening. Apple have had 30 billion app downloads from the iTunes store already. We announced our figures just a couple of days ago, where we've had 25 billion. Now, what's remarkable for that is we've only really had the Play Store and before that the Android store for a few years, and the first billion downloads took 2 years to happen. But now we get over 1 billion downloads per month happening on the Android store as well. So it's quite remarkable to see that pace of change. We also see that video is being consumed on mobiles all the time now as well. Last year, 12% of all YouTube views were from a mobile device. This year, it's more than double that, at around 25%. And 2/3 of people are prepared to watch a video on their mobile phone. I use the word prepared there because sometimes a smaller screen, you know, you compare it to your 55-inch plasma TV at home, a small screen is not always as good, some people may think. But typically what we see with people viewing on a mobile phone is they're a lot more engaged, they're a lot more bought into the fact that yes, it's a smaller screen, but it's the sole purpose that they're doing, and they're really paying a lot of attention to those videos. And we see click-through rates and engagement rates on mobile YouTube much, much higher as a typical rule of thumb than we do on desktop YouTube. So when people go and go and connect to the internet, 50% of people start with a search. Now, I think a lot of people will know this already, but what people may not know is the percentage of queries we're seeing today happening from mobile devices. And we class both mobile and tablet when I talk about mobile there, so high-end devices and tablet. But in finance, 24% of all queries happening today in the UK are happening via a mobile device, and that's doubled year on year from 12%. We see 25% of all queries in the retail space happening on a mobile device today. That's not quite doubled. And entertainment is the same at 25%, and again, it's not quite doubled year on year. But if you extrapolate where these trends are going, at some point in the not too distant future, you're going to see the fact that mobile queries will start surpassing desktop queries. And that presents a unique opportunity for advertisers to really get their mobile part of their business sorted out and really develop their mobile strategy. And we're seeing a lot of people who haven't really fully developed their mobile strategy today. Now, the retail one's particularly interesting because that relates to mobile commerce, and we see mobile commerce as big, big business. We see that £15 billion worth of UK retail sales will be influenced by mobile over the next couple of years. And I say influenced, and I'll come on to that later. We see companies like Amazon and eBay doing really well here. You know, they're forging the fires of the internet, and eBay are predicted to do $10 billion worth of sales via a mobile phone this year. Interestingly, they see their basket values 140% higher on tablets than they do on desktop. You know, I mentioned earlier tablets earlier. It's kind of the perfect shopping companion. You've got this 60-inch plasma screen TV sitting in your lap that you can just, you know, really enjoy and go very deep on. But it's not just the traditional kind of internet companies that are doing well in this space. We also see more traditional companies like Paddy Power that have a few hundred shops around the UK. We see 49% of all bets made, online or offline, coming through from a mobile device, which is pretty huge. So what does this mean? How can people take advantage of it? Well, you know, smartphones are our primary shopping companions. 31% of people who own a smartphone have bought something on their mobile phone. Now, that's 31% across the whole of the UK. I just want to get a quick show of hands. Who here has bought something on a mobile phone? 100%, excellent. Who here has bought something over the value of £150? Okay, that's about 10–15% really. I'm surprised it's not a little bit higher than that. Typically when you ask London audiences, it's nearer the 25–30% mark. Who here represents a company or works for a company that has a mobile optimized site? Okay, that's about 40–50%. That's not too bad. That's about the UK average. But you see the disconnect there. People are buying a lot more people are buying small ticket items, but often not doing it on a mobile optimized site. And we think that's a huge opportunity for people. But we also see lots and lots of people using their mobile phone in a store to compare price information. We see 24% of the people in the UK doing that. And that's a phenomenon known as showrooming. And we see it happening more and more and more, where people see a product or a product in a shop that they like, and they make the call whether they're going to buy it from that shop today and take the product home with them, or if they're perhaps going to get it a little bit cheaper on the web and maybe wait 48 hours for that delivery to be made. But essentially, they're making a decision. They've got the information to make that decision, and it's a conscious choice that they're making. And that's why we see that 17% of people have actually changed their mind in a store as a result of checking their mobile phone. It could be checking prices, it could be checking reviews, but essentially having that information gives the users lots and lots of power all the time. I mentioned mobile websites earlier. It's really important to have a mobile website. Here's an example of someone who does and who doesn't, and we work very closely with Hotels.com. And essentially you can see the one on the left-hand side is much more optimized for mobile. It's got simple drop-down buttons and menus. You don't have to fill in any forms. It's all auto-complete. And it's just a simple, easy, great experience. And essentially we say that they're open 24 hours. When you haven't got a mobile optimized site, essentially you're closed on a Tuesday. You're closed one day a week because a lot of your users will come to it and think, oh, actually, no, I'm not going to bother trying really hard to buy on that desktop site via my mobile device. I'm actually going to go to a competitor who's made it simple and easy for me to buy. And we see a lot of people losing sales and having bounce rates because they haven't got mobile optimized sites. And that's a big, big thing for me to make today, that people should be building their mobile sites. And we get asked all the time, should we build an app or we should build a mobile site? And what we suggest to people is you should probably have both. We typically see applications about engagement and retention, and we typically see mobile sites about acquisition and commerce. And essentially, if you can get someone to download your app and use it frequently, that's great, and you've almost kind of brickwalled that customer into using it. If you take Ping It, for example, you know, it's a great application. If you download that, you're probably not going to download any other money exchanging device. And I heard someone speak to the Barclays man earlier saying, oh, have you heard about this company and that company that also does the same thing? I don't think people have really heard of it because they download Ping It and they use it all the time and they don't need to go anywhere else. But if you're in a hurry and you want to transfer money somehow and you don't have the Ping It app and you're maybe not aware of it, or maybe it's a country that you don't operate in, that Ping It don't operate in, then you're probably going to do a search. And if you do a search, you're probably going to go to a website. And if it's not optimized, it's not going to be a good experience. Now, I also said influence sales on mobile. And this is some of the thinking that we're developing at Google now about understanding what the whole path to purchase is and the whole understanding of where mobile fits into that path to purchase. And we see 5 different types of conversions that often mobile will have an influence in. So the first one is in-store. I talked about it earlier, showrooming. Sometimes people buy, sometimes they don't. And essentially, if someone does a search on their mobile phone for that store and they click the store locator and then they go in and buy a product from the store gets the full value of that sale, but mobile has an impact in there and has a contribution towards it. But essentially, mobile gets no value for that because people aren't attributing it and understanding the value of it. And I think, you know, I haven't seen anyone do this well yet, but I've seen some people try, and I think it is very much about trial and error and really start understanding, you know, should we bid higher for people around our stores? Should we overbid for when people do a store locator search? Typically they don't bid anything, but maybe they should start bidding for that because there is the value. So it is driving footfall, and often footfall equals sales. We also see via a phone, you know, mobile phones are great. They do everything and they still make phone calls. It's fantastic. And we typically see when people use a product like Click to Call, that we see much higher conversion rates and much quicker sales. The example would be someone like Interflora. You know, you have people want to send flowers on Mothering Sunday, and typically a lot of blokes, or blokes like me, typically forget, and it comes Saturday morning, and I'm checking out who's going to be playing football on that particular day, and I'm inside the Sky Sports app, or I'm on the website somewhere. I'll actually see an advert saying you can still get your flowers delivered tomorrow. You have to pay a bit of a premium, but you can still have it done. So when I see an advert like that, I'm like, oh God, I need to buy those flowers. And when I use Click to Call, I don't want the spiel about what type of flowers to buy and what's the occasion and everything like that. I just want to be able to convert straight away. And we see many flower companies like Interflora have a much shorter script when people come through via the phone when they've done clicked on a Click to Call advert. So understanding what the value of that is, because again, the call center gets the full value for that, and mobile phone gets no value for that. But you know, maybe you should be thinking about what value can you assign to mobile and set your bids accordingly. We also see apps. You know, the majority of the sales that are coming through from eBay, the $10 billion that they're going to do this year, a lot of those are app-based. But we often see that people don't fully understand what the value of an app user is. They often don't understand the lifetime value of that user. They don't understand what the average basket value is for that app user. They don't understand how many times they're purchasing and what the gap between purchases is. We do a lot of, we work with a lot of people who used to use AdMob and now use the Google Display Network to promote their app. And typically they'll pay, you know, like $1 or $2 for every app download. and we ask them why is it that price, and most people just say it's because it is. They don't really understand the value of that. So I think really understanding what the value of an app user is something that everyone should be striving to do. We then have the traditional conversion event, which is on the mobile web. We all know that. We need to get mobile websites as a result. But one big area that we're starting to understand, and I think a lot of advertisers are starting to understand as well, is the cross-device. So people will start on a mobile device, then because it's maybe not an optimized site, or maybe they're on 3G, or maybe they go through an area where they don't get connectivity, or maybe they just put it down and do something else. Often they can go home and then convert on their tablet or convert on their PC. And again, you know, often the PC or the tablet will get the full credit for that sale, where again mobile has a part to play. So I'm big on mobile. You can hear that, you can understand it, and I think, you know, we're just starting this thinking, but people should be really striving to understand what value mobile has in all their different sales that they have. So the kind of recommendation from me would be for people to build a mobile site, and most of you have. I think it's 40–50% of you have, and then start thinking about attribution and attributing correctly as well. So one of the big phenomena that we're seeing at Google today is around dual screening as well. We see that 90% of media interactions are screen-based and 10% happen on newspaper. As newspaper and newsprint improves, maybe that number will go up. But at the moment, it's around 90%. And what we see is that people are often doing different things on different devices all the time, and we see the usage patterns change throughout the day. We can see that the tablet line is red, the mobile line is blue, and the desktop line is green. And we can see when people first wake up, they kind of reach for all devices, but mobile phone is the one they reach for the most. It's often no more than a meter away from you. You often go to bed with it and wake up with it as well. But then you can see as people get to work, or you know, they start waking up a bit more, they start using the PC, and you can see that that usage really rises throughout the day. But then in the evening, you see that massive spike in tablet users. And that's because people are typically dual screening. They're watching TV and they're on their tablet as well. And that presents a real good opportunity for advertisers to, one, have deeper engagement with the people who are looking for their brands and services on there, and two, to provide a very consistent, congruent message across all their different forms of media. So we see two types of kind of dual screening happening today. Unrelated activity, so you're watching TV and you're doing some work, checking some emails, looking at buying some shoes or some tickets for a concert, whatever it is. And then we see related activity, where you're actually engaging with what you're seeing on the screen. Maybe it's an advert and you think, right, I've just seen an advert for a Ford motor car. I'm actually going to find out some more about that Ford motor car. Or maybe it's actually something to do with the program itself, such as the example on the screen there as well. But whatever the opportunity is, whatever it is, whether it's related or unrelated activity, there's certain kind of definitions or certain signals and characteristics that we see across the three different devices. And trying to understand what happens and what people do on the three different screens is really important. So we know that smartphones, people are often on the go, it's very quick behavior, it's very punchy, it's immediacy, it's brevity, they want that information straight away. On tablets, it's a bit different. They often go a little bit deeper. It's not task-orientated like it is on a PC, but they go a little bit deeper, and it's often a lot more engaging, and the length of the session is a bit longer as well. And then PC is often task-orientated. It's very work these days. I have to admit, my own personal usage, I rarely use a PC at home now. And when I use a PC at home, it feels really big and heavy because I'm often using my tablet. When I get to work, it feels normal and fine, but at home, on my sofa, it just feels uncomfortable, whereas a tablet, it just seems to be the perfect companion when you are watching TV or you want to do multiple activities at the same time. Now, one person who gets this and did it very well is the £1 Million Drop. It's not my show that I watch all the time, but I played it last week just so I could just do this dual screening phenomenon. And essentially what it is I'm sure you all know the format of the game. You know, the idea is to put all your money on a particular answer and get all the way through without losing any money or losing the minimum amount of money as possible and win, you know, up to £1 million. And essentially you can download your app onto your phone, onto your tablet, and you can do it on Android or you can do it on iOS. And essentially what this does is what it gives to me is I can play along with the game at the same time. And when I was playing it last Friday, over 40,000 people were also playing the game on their mobile phone or their tablet. And we get the same questions as the contestant on the TV, and we get the same amount of time to answer. It's a minute, but if the contestants answer very, very quickly, then all of a sudden I have 10 seconds to make my choice as well. I do have the opportunity to see what the contestants are putting down there, so it's a slight advantage to me, or I can make my own decisions on there as well. But additional 40,000 people engaging with the £1 Million Drop Live. You know, people who really care about that brand, prepared to go the extra mile. You can actually use the app, not just when the TV show's on, and play games, and you can share all your updates and your scores via Google Plus and via Facebook and Twitter, etc. as well. And it just really allows that full kind of deep engagement. And I see a few companies doing this well. There's a company called Red Bull that did a dual screen campaign in, I think it was New Zealand, where essentially you were watching some snowboarders come down and snowboarding down. And if you loaded Shazam on your phone and you launched the Shazam app, then instead of seeing the overhead view, you actually got the camera view of the snowboarder. So you had kind of two different views, all perfectly synced to this person going down some big snow hills and doing some amazing jumps. And it was a really engaging experience. It's absolutely fantastic. I haven't seen many examples in the UK today. I think there's a real opportunity for people to really start experimenting and doing some really innovative, cool stuff with dual screening and really giving deeper engagement to their customers. So I think, you know, start developing and developing your dual screen strategy and integrating it into all the things you're doing is really important. I think we've moved from a place where mobile was not integrated into the marketing campaigns or the marketing comms mix at all, into where mobile is. But I still see different messages. I sometimes see a competition being promoted on an advert on TV, and then I go to the website, and that competition's not easy to find, or it's not even on the website at all. People have really got to be integrating and making sure everything is congruent and runs through all the different media and platforms. Social is a big opportunity as well. We see 40% of searches on mobile phones have a local intent today. We see over 50% of our maps, of Google Map usage coming through from a mobile device today as well. And I don't think really people have really got local. I think obviously there's the whole privacy issues and concerns and challenges. We're all aware of like McDonald's and Starbucks doing some quite cool stuff. But I haven't seen anyone really do something really cool and innovative in this space yet. But you know, the more personalized, the more local information I get that's more tailored and relevant to me, the better experience I'm going to have as a user. And I think there's a big opportunity here. Someone I've seen do quite a good job is Tesco in South Korea. I think a lot of people may have seen this already. I've seen a few nodding heads. And essentially you can be on the tube, you're waiting for your tube to come, you bring out your mobile phone and you start doing your daily shopping. You scan a particular product, it adds it to your shopping list, you then confirm to buy it, and then the next day the products get delivered to you. Unfortunately, it's not like you get on the before you get on the tube, you do the shopping and then you arrive home and your shopping's there with you. It's not quite as good as that, but it's still pretty impressive. And again, that's a really good local and innovative use of mobile phones in the local space. But we're at the tipping point here. For me, we're at the tip of the iceberg, and we're going to see that mobile is really going to start merging both the physical and the digital worlds. Essentially, the mobile phone can be a digital lens over absolutely everything that you do, and to provide a lot more information and relevance to the physical world around you. So there's a couple of examples that I just wanted to show you very quickly. So this is a picture. Does anyone know who it is? Who painted it? Yeah. What's Monet's first name? Okay, that's what I thought. So I'm just going to take a picture of this on my phone, and I'm going to use an application called Google Goggles to do so. So let me just get my phone set up. So this is Google Goggles. It's an application just there. Let me just zoom in. This will take a minute or two. And essentially what I do is I just click the application on my phone. It launches a camera. and then take a picture of the image I just showed to you. It starts analysing it, and you can see there it comes up with a set of results. It comes up with a similar image which says Claude Monet, and what I get there is a set of search results as if I typed in what the name of the picture is. It has the information all there. I can click to encyclopedia. I can see that he was actually born as as Oscar Claude Monet. Not many people know that. I know that when I was out for dinner with my wife, who's a lot more intelligent than me and did an art history degree, and she went to the toilet, and I took a picture of that in the restaurant we were in, and she came back and I started telling her all about it, that it's called Houses of Parliament. She knew I was bullshitting, but she couldn't quite work out how. But what this presents, so that's a nice fun example, but what this presents is an opportunity again to make print interactive and to provide a lot more information. So this is an advert for Buick that appeared in a magazine. Again, I'm going to take a picture of it using Google Goggles. And what this is going to do is again take a picture of it. It's going to analyze it. It's going to compress it into a video, into an image file. It's going to send it up to the cloud. Hundreds of thousands of servers are going to vote on what they think it is, and send the information down, you know, in less than a second back down to my phone. And I can see here it recognizes it as a Buick ad. I can see that the link I'm going to go to is a mobile optimized site because it says m.buick. I can click on that and it will take me through to it, and all of a sudden I can start engaging with that particular advert. Buick can track how many people actually visited to the website. They can see how many downloads of the application happened. They can see how many test drives were arranged at the particular dealers that I can source on my mobile phone, and obviously it knows where I am because it's a mobile phone, so it lists the dealers to me. So again, it's kind of making the whole world clickable and providing a lot more information to people. So it's a good example of how the kind of image search works. But I also want to just show you some new developments that we've got around voice search as well. So one of the things we've developed recently is Google Now, and as part of that we developed something called the knowledge graph. So who here knows how much David Beckham is worth? Okay. All I have to do is on my mobile phone is say, how much is David Beckham worth? Good looking and worth a lot of money. But, so I'm not sure if you actually heard that, 'cause it's quite far away from the mic, but it actually talks to me as well. It actually says the information to me as well as displaying it in a particular tile like this as well. And that's something new from Google that we're starting to develop as well, where actually the phone speaks back to you to make it a lot more easy to understand and provide information, not just a search result, but an actual knowledge graph information like this as well. And we think that's going to be a big development as well, because you can do lots of different searches and get lots of information displayed in a different way. I always have a favorite demonstration, but I just want to ask the audience, who here has seen the Translate demonstration before? Okay, mostly Googlers. Okay, so I'm just going to do something else called the Translate application. I'm in charge of an area called NACE, which is Northern and Central Europe. I travel around Europe quite a lot, seeing my different clients, seeing my teams, and doing presentations. As I said earlier, my wife is very clever. I'm not particularly clever. I come from Wakefield, which means my language skills aren't very, very good. But Google Translate is fantastic for people like me in the world. Essentially, I just launch the application, and I have the option to either type, take a picture of a particular bit of text, if it was like a menu or something like that in a restaurant, or I can actually just talk to it. Oops. So I can just talk to it in this particular way. So I'll just say something in English and it's going to translate into Spanish, as you can see. Where is the beach? Straight away it picked up where is the beach, and I can actually press a few different buttons and actually start speaking it, and I can actually enter into a conversation with it as well. So I think everyone knows if you speak 3 languages, you're trilingual. If you speak 2 languages, you're bilingual. If you speak 1 language, you're American and English. So things like that are really, really good for traveling the world. And it's amazing that your mobile phone, you know, the thing that 10 years ago you were playing Snake on and making the odd phone call on and sending the odd text message on, can now just do absolutely everything. And it's a big, big opportunity for advertisers, because this is the thing that you carry around with you all the time. It's very personal, it's very local, and there's virtually no end to what you can do, because you're not restricted to what's the physical size of the phone is. You're restricted to the power of the cloud. You're restricted to what the most powerful processing computers in the world can do. So talked about localizing your marketing for better results. Now, the last subject I want to talk about is social. We all know that social's big. We all know that there's over 1 billion people connected to various social networks around the globe. We're probably aware of stats like this, that 80% of smartphone users visit social networks. And nearly half of people do that at least once a day. We are probably a little bit scared about stats like this, that 57% of people have conversations more in the virtual world than they do in the real world. I've got a 2.5-year-old son. He's been able to use the iPad, not quite as good as me, since he was about 18 months old. But he can just swipe the iPad, choose the app, goes to YouTube. That's his favorite application at the moment. Knows how to play a video. If he doesn't like it, he stops it. He can't search yet. He's not that bright. He's only 2.5, but he can go to histories and just find out all the different kind of Peppa Pig videos or Thomas the Tank Engine ones that he wants. And it scares me that he's going to be, you know, speaking to people more in the digital world than he is in the real world. But that's the way it's going. To me, it's a little bit scary. To him, it's just going to be second nature. And he just expects everything like that to work really, really well. And we just see that, you know, perhaps the younger generation are doing things like this, where 28% of people are connecting to their social network and checking their status before they even get out in bed in the morning. I see some of my colleagues here, so obviously I don't do this. I always check my email before getting out of bed in the morning, honest. But Google, you know, we really just got into the social space, and a lot of people ask us why. Why are we doing it? It's because we see stats like that. But more importantly, we know that surfacing social signals to people when they're doing searches or they're on YouTube or they're in Gmail is really, really important. We've done a great job of making the web relevant to people and serving the best results that we can based on our kind of page algorithm rank. But we know that based on your interest graph and your social graph, you know, what you're into, who you know, we can serve much better relevant results to you. And that's what Google Plus is. It's essentially a layer that's going to connect to all of our different products and make all the products better and more relevant and more tailored for you. We're also a destination, and we do have a stream, and we do have places where people can go and post and share information and give updates and things like that. And you can see here that we've got 400 million registered users today. That's not bad for a product that's only just 12 months old. We've got 100 million of those people who come to Google Plus every single day and interact with the product. And we serve the Google Plus badge over 5 billion times per day as well. So we know we've got a long way to go, but we know that being a destination is good. People like sharing and giving information. But we also know that providing all that social information is really important to people, and we can give them a much better experience when they're using Google's properties. And we also know that doing things like surfacing recommendations at moments that matter is going to help prove the ROI of social. Because I think a lot of people today question social. They don't fully understand, is it driving more revenue? Is my basket value higher? Do I get more repeat purchases from people who are coming through from different forms of social networks? And we've got a great history and pedigree in making everything kind of measurable and accountable. And being performance related, and we want to do the same with social. So this is something called a social extension. Essentially, if I type in hotels in Nice, I get this result, and because I'm logged in, as you can see in the top right hand corner, I see that when the first result I see is booking. And the first thing you notice about booking is that they've got a lot more of the real estate. You know, their ad is much bigger than everyone else's on the page. And the reason for that is because they've got social extensions enabled. And I can see here that Michelena, who's a good friend of mine based in Germany, she really likes booking. She's +1'd it. She thinks they're great. And Michelena is someone I trust, and I respect her views. And if she's telling me that booking is great, I'm actually going to believe it, and I'm probably going to click on that advert or be a lot more susceptible to doing so. So what we actually see is that on average, the click-through rates increase by 5 to 10% when people enable social extensions, which is a big, big bonus for people. You know, I'm sure many people in this room today do a lot of PPC advertising with Google, and if you can get a 5 to 10% CTR increase, that's really, really good and very, very powerful. And that's something we're really trying to do. And you know, here's a nice graph showing the 5 to 10% CTR increase, but also some of our partners who have had more than that. H&M have had 22%, Cadbury's 17%, Lake Room's 9%. And that's just one area where we're actually starting to integrate social into everything that we do. And eventually what we want to do is, when I type in the word holiday, because I've got a 2.5-year-old son, I want to go somewhere with great childcare facilities that's really going to stimulate and educate my child. But also, you know, me and the missus want to catch up on some sleep that we're being deprived of. For many people in the room today, when they type in holiday, they might want to go somewhere like Ibiza, which is a lot cooler place to go to. And when you type it into Google, we both get the same results. But if you're logged in and we start surfacing all that social information, eventually I'm going to get much more tailored and specific results to me. And essentially, the web is going to be much more relevant and work better for me. And that's what we're trying to achieve today. We're also working with businesses so they can get Google Plus pages. This is Cadbury's. They've got over 2.5 million followers today. They just announced on Monday on their Google Plus page, which is pretty phenomenal, again, for a product that's only been around for 12 months. They actually launched a new Cadbury's Bubbly Bar on Monday via Google Plus, and that's had fantastic results, and they've had fantastic engagement from what they've seen so far today. And many people are launching products successfully on Google Plus, and they're engaging their users in a lot more deeper fashion. And one of the launch products that they used on Google Plus was Hangouts on Air. And for people who don't know what Hangout on Air is, essentially it's like a chat room that you can go to, but it's got people's faces in there, and you can chat in real time and in real life to them. And what we find is when people have that kind of face-to-face connection, the relationships are a lot more deeper and a lot more long-lasting. This is a Hangout on Air that Cadbury's did before the Olympics with Rebecca Adlington. And essentially what they did is they invited 9 lucky G+ followers. So there's a bit of a competition, the 9 lucky followers. They got to have this video conference call, this Hangout on Air with Rebecca Adlington, where they could interact, ask questions, listen to the answers, laugh and joke, and have a generally a good time. So that's available. That was available for 9 lucky winners. But then the whole thing was just streamed into YouTube as well, and that's an example of where we're starting to make social a lot more prevalent in YouTube as well. So what like I say, what we find is when people have that face-to-face contact, these moments last a lot more. And there's a lot more deeper engagement as well. So there's just a couple of things that we're doing on Google Plus. I think we're all familiar with the Google mission statement. I'm sure you've all seen it before. We've had it for not quite 14 years, even though it's our 14-year-old birthday today, but we've had it for over 10 years. And essentially, we still want to do this, but we want to make it about you. We want to make Google much more personal, tailored, relevant for you, and give you a much better experience. So really, that's the end of my presentation. I think that, you know, the 4 key takeaways are: build a mobile site and attribute. I think half of you got the mobile site already. Still half of you need to get one to really take advantage of the way that consumers are going and using mobile phones all the time. It's about developing and integrating your dual screen and multi-screen strategy to make sure the messages are congruent and you're providing a very, very deep level of engagement opportunity to your potential clients or your existing clients as well. It's about thinking local and localizing your marketing to get even better results than you do today based on all those location signals. And it's about putting social in everything you do and really proving the ROI. We really think that proving the ROI of social is something that we can help with. We want to work with many of you in the room today to try and prove the ROI and make sure that every dollar that you're spending, pound you're spending with Google has a good value. I think I've got time for a few questions. So thank you all very much for listening.
Hi, I'm George from Group Analysis. Just a quick question about the, and by the way, thank you, it was a fantastic presentation. On the social area, you talked about the 100 million users for Google+. which I suspect a few of us have seen before and been confused by. And I think we all know that the interactions that people are having with Google Plus are different from the interactions that 100 million people would have with Facebook, for example. So I was just wondering if you could maybe give some color to explain what sort of interactions people are having with Google Plus, how that 100 million number is being reached.
So it's a good question. The 400 million is similar to the 900 million, a billion on Facebook. It's kind of registered users, and that means that they could go there once a month, once a day, once an hour, once a year, sort of thing. In actual fact, we count exactly the same way as Facebook, with 100 million daily active users as they do as well. Essentially, it's users who have interacted with Facebook or with Google Plus across the whole of the web. So it's not necessarily that you've been to just Google Plus, but you've seen an advert and you've clicked on it, or you've plus one something yourself. But without wanting to give too much away, because it is a very sensitive area, the vast majority of those people are actually going to Google Plus of the 100 million on a daily basis and interacting and posting and sharing pictures and photographs and everything like that.
Hi, Ian. It's Lara from Marketing Week. Thanks for the shout out in your presentation earlier. You were talking about m-commerce before, and you touched on lots of different areas. One of the areas that I'm keen to hear your thoughts on is the mobile experience in-store. We've seen lots of really interesting innovations there. Burberry, I think, is the standout there. Regent Street store, everyone should check it out. It's amazing. So just wondering what your view is there and whether retailers should think about installing iPads or pods or whatever it might be.
I think it's a great question, and I've been at many retail conferences and I've heard people debate long and hard about this. And the kind of overwhelming consensus is that the store should be should provide users with a magical experience. They should be able to go in, touch and feel the particular products, understand is the TV going to fit in their room okay, and be pretty much delighted by that. And at the moment, the kind of current retail model doesn't really provide for that. You should actually have people like Samsung or Sony and other people like that paying to have a really prominent position in a store, knowing that the store won't sell any of those Samsung or Sony TVs or radios, but people will go in there, touch and feel them, and then buy it on their mobile phone, on their tablet, on their PC when they get home. And I think, you know, that's a big kind of revolutionary shift. I think retailers now understand the showrooming challenge, but how they react to it, I think the jury's out, but I think that's the kind of consensus that most people have to do. I've seen people like Best Buy and Burberry experiment with different models of where they'll actually either hide QR codes or put hide the barcode, or just provide unique QR codes, so you can either get more information or be restricted to the information you get. Again, I think the jury's out. There's been good examples and bad examples of that as well. I know there's been one or two retailers that have been in the press about where they've actually ejected people in the store for scanning a barcode. I think that's definitely the wrong way to go. But apart from that, I think the jury's still out, and it's exciting to be part of this and to help figure it out for advertisers.
I was going to quickly ask whether you're going to help Apple out with their mapping problems.
So I'm sure that everyone in this audience today is not from London, and some people will have to travel around and they might not know their way. If people have got an iPhone, then there are still maps available in many of the tube stations around London today to help them navigate around.
So I was just going to follow up on the retailer point, because I'd be interested to know what you think the opportunities for retailers to be creative with using mobiles in store are then. It's not just all about defending.
Well, I think it's about providing that magical and delightful experience for people, and because the mobile is so engaging and you're touching it all the time and you can be so immersed, I think definitely the mobile can be part of that. I don't have any ready-made solutions or silver bullets about how mobile should be used in there. I think it's about experimenting and testing and learning, and what works in a bathroom store may not work in a high street electrical store as well. But I just think there's such an opportunity, particularly on tablets, because people, you know, they're just so touchy-feely, and people just, you know, really engage with them so much. Thank you.